I remember the hype cycle for these two games like it was yesterday. One was rethinking the conventions of the Legend of Zelda series, which had been going strong for 30 plus years at that point. The other was a direct sequel to those new conventions that got rave reception. In hindsight, as somebody who's played a lot of Skyrim with a hint of Fallout 4, both modded by the way, I'm not crazy, this may not seem like anything new, but for the Zelda series, this was pretty groundbreaking. My history with the franchise has always been a bit cloudy, to say the least. Even then, I was still very hyped. The game was delayed twice until finally arriving in 2017. Not only was this the final Nintendo-published title for the Drowning Ambulance, but it also came out alongside a new console, mirroring how Twilight Princess was released on both the GameCube and Wii. This new console, though, didn't have a waggle remote as a selling point. No, the selling point here was that you could just take it with you on the go. Could your Wii U gamepad do that? I didn't think so. It just died by going into the other room. The idea was novel enough for the competition to say, hold up, we can do better. It also finally got a proper name, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. At the time, I was very hesitant about the NX, now called the Nintendo Switch, probably because my Wii U sort of became a Smash Brothers machine before Ultimate came out and did the exact same thing. I would also slowly become a PC gamer, so the console was collecting dust until a new exclusive came out, or I felt like modding them. Keep in mind, I was just a kid, and there were many games that didn't really interest me. Some, if not all, of these so-called classics that people like to gush about on social media are now on the Switch, so it's not locked to this teal collector's box. But when a friend of mine got his Switch the day it came out and I played a bit of this new title, it was love at first sight. Too bad I had to wait until April to get my console because of stock issues. I could have gone with the Wii U version, but who played that version back in 2017? Make yourselves known, like seriously. After a few replays on Switch and later on an emulator, it quickly became one of my favorite open world titles. In fact, I had so much fun with Breath of the Wild that I was hyped for its direct sequel, eventually called Tears of the Kingdom. However, the hype was killed for me when I saw that price tag. I did plan on buying the game physically until I realized I would unknowingly play a fatal game of Russian roulette with my own Nintendo account, so I bought it digitally when the money was right. I still got the game physically as a birthday gift, but you know what? I'm keeping this. Now I can say I own both games. Now, before we get to the review, I should probably lay a few ground rules first. For Breath of the Wild, I'll be playing a new game on Wii U. Don't ask me how I got a hold of this version, but I'll also throw in some footage from the Nintendo Switch version as well. Aside from a few standout moments and a margin of error on my part, they both look and run identically, to its benefit and detriment. A benefit because, hey, it's the same game as the shiny new console. A detriment because the Wii U version requires this brick of a gamepad to play, and it only gives you off-TV play by touching the touchscreen. Any other time, that gamepad is as useful as a used condom. So if you want to know what version I'm playing at that very moment, check the UI. I'm also going to be sticking with the Switch hardware for Tears of the Kingdom, even with its odd battery and worrying fan noises.
The Switch is having a bit of a mood swing today.
And before you say anything, I am aware of the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of both of these games with its improved frame rate and resolution. But I don't have a Switch 2, and I don't plan on getting one for a while. I could also use emulation, but knowing how fickle Nintendo can be, I'm not going to risk it. Even if I played the Wii U version via emulation so many times that now I'm going to have a hard time going back to 30 FPS, but I'm going to stand my ground and commit to the bit. It also explains why this video is in 30 FPS, because I didn't really need it. I also got to give a massive spoiler warning for both games, so if you plan on going in blind, stop watching now, and just go play them. But please, take your time with these games. Don't try to binge them like I did for this video, because burnout hit me like a motherfucker after finishing Tears of the Kingdom. And try not to pay full price for both of these games if you can. Spoiling this now, Tears of the Kingdom is not worth over $100 digitally. Anyway, before I get into a crazy rant, I should probably just jump in. Upon first boot, the game just starts. Yeah, you just jump right into it. This also applies to Tears of the Kingdom, by the way. The basic gist? Link wakes up from a 100-year slumber, and with nothing but a Sheikah slate and the clothes on his back, or his shockingly sturdy pair of tidy whities, he's off to defeat Calamity Ganon, thanks to a random disembodied voice who turns out to be Zelda. Granted, you do get more of the story as you play, you kind of have to work for that, but because Link is actually called Link this time, and still doesn't speak, even when everyone else around him does, he's just kind of left hung to dry. Not to mention the shitload of awkward pauses when he's being spoken to with that stoic-ass stare of his. Because of that, I had to fill in the gaps myself.
Do you really remember me?
Does this sap away any sort of seriousness this game tries to go for at times? Yeah. But I have the power and nobody can stop me. Nope, not even Nintendo. What are they gonna do, sue me? Anyway, the starting area, called the Great Plateau, is basically the tutorial. So my advice for this early on, just fuck around and find out. I'm serious. The game will tell you how a lot of stuff works once you do them. Like whistling, stealth, cooking, hunting, parrying, flurry rush, bullet time, exposure to the elements, and the mechanic everyone loves to hate, the weapon degradation system. For me, it wasn't too aggravating because there's plenty of other weapons you can just find out and about that replaces the one that you just broke. It sucks when your favorite weapons break though, so I try to hold on to those for as long as I can until I absolutely have to use it. More often than not, I had to throw away certain weapons if they were too weak, or just use them to smack enemies in the face if I knew they were about to break. That never gets old, by the way. However, once you get the paraglider, you don't really have to engage with the story, or even half the damn game if you don't want to, since you can make a beeline for Hyrule Castle and fight Calamity Ganon head-on with nothing but the shit on your back. I mean, you might get your ass kicked, but it's possible. I've seen it with my own two eyes. What the game sort of encourages you to do is free the Divine Beasts, as freeing them will give you an ability that makes you more powerful and gives you an easier time with the final boss. Don't forget about the Master Sword, the blade that has rechargeable batteries and can actually kill you if you don't have 13 hearts or more. So yeah, that's a thing. Or you can just say screw everything and pluck that shit out of the ground like it's nothing. No harm, no foul.
Master Sword! Yeah, I couldn't get this rock off of it, but it's still pretty cool, right?
You could go after one of the Divine Beasts and then go after Ganon, but if you want to free all of them, you'll quickly realize, man, this is just the same shit with a new coat of paint. Make your way to an area by any means necessary, even if it means cross-dressing in Gerudo Valley's case, but he looks fine in that getup, so I really don't care. Talk to the descendant of said champion, learn about the champion via memories, get the item needed for them to help you, get to the beast, activate terminals, slap the goofy out of the blight within, get a heart container, dead champion gives you their ability and says their goodbyes. That's it. You do this 4 times, by the way. And if you're going to do so, go after Vah Naboris and Vah Ruda first. Mipha's Grace and Rivali's Gale are freaking busted. And save Vah Naboris for last, unless you really like getting hounded by Yiga clan members at the most inopportune time. Please go away! As for the Master Sword, this is where shrines come in and pick up most of the slack. You'll either find them out and about, or complete certain quests to get inside. Most shrines are puzzle-oriented, but some of them will test your combat skills. Finishing the shrine will give you a spirit orb, and praying at a goddess statue will allow you to exchange 4 of them for either health upgrade or stamina upgrade. Either alternate between the two or focus on health if you want the Master Sword as soon as possible. Thankfully, there is a way you can reallocate your stamina or health if you really need it. Although don't sleep on stamina, it is actually just as important as health, because Link can stay in the air longer with the paraglider and can climb almost any surface if it's not a ceiling. And if you're not careful, yeah, you're as good as dead. The thing is, despite how repetitive the main quest is, it's really more about the journey than the destination. You're meant to just explore and see what happens. Climbing these Sheikah towers to show more of the map, finding shrines, doing side quests, or maybe even finding other avenues to power yourself up, like killing these guardians that may spook you if you're not paying attention because... But you can also make all sorts of ancient weapons out of their internals, and even this ridiculous looking armor that has great defense. Also, master that shield bash, work on your aim, and try to cripple these bastards for more parts, because the moment you hear that piano kick in, either put them up or make a break for it. These guys accounted for like half my deaths in this game, whether it was my first playthrough or this one. It's not just the Guardians though, there's a lot of things that can kick your ass in this game. From basic bokoblins to the Lynels that hit like tanks, oh mother Miranda, that hurts. Even the goddamn weather can kick your ass, so you better get the proper gear or weapon to survive out there. What makes all this even funnier though? This game's ragdoll physics. Not just from enemies, but from Link as well. It makes dying in this game super amusing. And that's a sentence I never thought I'd say out loud. In fact, you know what? Here's some funny ragdolls I got from both games. There's also so many small details that I'm still discovering to this day. I did mention a bunch of them when I originally recorded this script, but yeah, I figured I'd let you figure them out for yourself. Hell, I've abused this little thing called whistle sprinting. Yeah, it's an exploit, but it's faster than regular sprinting and doesn't cost any stamina. But my hands freaking hate me, man. And of course, we've got the classic bomb jumping.
Physics.
If you're one of those completionists, there's a lot of things to do in order to obtain 100%. I was around like 15-16% done on my first playthrough, but for this one, I wasn't even close. Granted, I did bum rush the Wii U version for this video, but the point still stands. And even after you beat Calamity Ganon, you can still go back and do stuff you've missed. This includes completing side quests, visiting shrines, freeing other divine beasts if you didn't bother, finding those Korok seeds, there's 900 of these little shit nuggets scattered across Hyrule, and even acquiring armor and doing some of the DLC stuff. Yeah, this game got paid DLC. Only 2 packs though. And now I'm starting to realize this is just paid endgame. Why did we let Nintendo get away with this again? Pack 1, the Master Trials, includes Trial of the Master Sword, which lets you power up your Master Sword if you're skilled enough, or found a way to cheese it. Hero's Path, allowing you to retrace your steps, but it records up to 200 hours, so the map's gonna end up looking like a scribbled mess made by a toddler. A Travel Medallion that I still have trouble finding, even though I barely use it when I do find it. And Master Mode, a harder version of the main game that is literally a test of patience and sanity. Everything hurts, enemies have a healing factor, and you only have 2 save slots total. I was crazy enough to beat the game like this once, and I'm not doing it again. You also get this little Triforce icon that shows up even in cutscenes, and that's actually super annoying. But if you want to play Master Mode, practice stealth, especially early on, because you're as fragile as toilet paper. Not glass, mind you, toilet paper. And even if you have a way of killing enemies, they are way spongier here than normal mode. So you kind of have to pick and choose your battles wisely. Pack 2 includes the Champion's Ballad. It gives you a new dungeon, beating bosses with a different stipulation, more story elements that genuinely put a smile on my face, powered up champion abilities that are far more broken than you think, and a cool motorcycle that clearly wasn't meant for this open world. You do need to free all the divine beasts in order to access it, so keep that in mind. Cooking is also quite the lifesaver, so if you find some wildlife or animals minding their own business, take a quick second to hunt them down, because those cuts of meat, flowers on the ground, and frogs, even grasshoppers, are going to save your ass when you need them the most. The bugs and monster guts are usually used for elixirs, so keep that in mind, unless you really, really like that dubious food. Plus, you get better meals and elixirs during a blood moon. A blood moon basically resets the environment and revives fallen enemies. It's there primarily to prevent the game from shitting itself after a long period of time, but if you have really bad luck, you could get killed by an enemy that you just killed. And I think I've had that happen to me like maybe once or twice throughout my multiple playthroughs of this game, so yeah, it kind of depends on what you're doing at the moment. This game is still so fun, and sometimes I get an itch to play it again, but if I do, I'm going to be playing through emulation, since this game does not run well on genuine Wii U or Switch hardware. Both versions run at a very inconsistent 30 frames per second, with the Wii U version suffering the most, especially in super crowded places and at the beginning of Champion's Ballad. Dear God, this was actually really bad. I was planning on finishing that for this video, but unfortunately I had to cut it short because holy shit, this is unplayable. Escape the lag! Ah! The Switch version is slightly better in terms of performance, and patches did come out to address some of these issues, but it's still rather shaky. Not as shaky as it used to be, for the record, because the Switch version runs at a rather consistent 30 FPS now. Though, demanding areas still cause the game to struggle every now and again. The load times on Wii U also suck. To be fair, I should have moved the game to the console's hard drive instead of the external hard drive I've been using, but I put up with it and its quirks. But if you don't feel like pissing off Nintendo by emulating this game, the Switch 2 version is the way to go. The upgrade pack is $10 if you already own the game, but you might have to buy the DLC again, so what the hell is the point in buying this version if it doesn't come with everything? Nintendo, you confuse the hell out of me. The only mode that I think you'll be missing out on is the Labo VR, but only a handful of games actually supported that waste of cardboard, so it's not really that big a loss in my opinion, unless you use the $100 Virtual Boy shell or the $25 cardboard sleeve. I don't know, and I really don't care. The game also has a surprisingly vibrant modding scene for both versions, and I've played the game with a fair few of these, and one of them shook up the OST big time. And yeah, if you're curious, the vanilla game's OST sounds great, a little atmospheric in the field, but boss fights are the biggest highlight here, and the Guardian theme is just iconic to me. But imagine the Assassin's Creed OST when climbing up Sheikah Towers, or the Halo theme when facing off against Calamity Ganon. It just frickin' works. I can't link to any of these, but I trust you know where they are, and I know you'll be careful. You better be careful out there, right? Now we move on to The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and man oh man, I heard all the stories that broke out. From its price to the performance issues on real hardware and even physical versions getting leaked before release, and fixes for emulators made the game playable day one. And then of course we have the whole emulator fiasco where Nintendo shut down the popular Switch emulator Yuzu, with Citra, the 3DS emulator, getting caught in the crossfire. It was a freaking madhouse, man. And now they own Yuzu, and they even got a hold of Ryujinx after that got shut down, and now they both go the way of Super Hornio brothers. Locked up tight in a vault, never to be seen by the public again. He's kidding. Sort of. Besides, this is the internet. Everything's practically permanent there, unless they choose to go full scorched earth and destroy it. But they wouldn't have the balls to do that, right? Right? Don't worry about it. Yuzu, Ryujinx, and Citra are actually open source, which means Nintendo's going to be playing a very weird game of legal whack-a-mole until the internet dies. Another thing you should know about this game, I went into this completely blind. I stayed away from most spoilers, and I only looked up some basic advice to kind of make the game a little easier to start. Because just like Breath of the Wild, the opening hour or so is a tutorial, getting you used to everything, including the new ability Link has at his disposal, like rewinding time, fusing through the floor, fusing weapons to stuff, and even moving objects and fusing them together to create anything you want with Ultra Hand, the ultimate frame rate killer on Switch 1. I know I'm preaching to the crowd at this point, but Jesus Christ, this performance is terrible on original Switch hardware. I heard horror stories about it, but I was not prepared to see how bad it was for myself. In some cases, it might just be worse than the Wii U version of Breath of the Wild, and yes, I am up to date. To make this worse, Ultra Hand wasn't always the culprit, it's just a super demanding game for this 8 to 9-year-old tablet. Inputs also ended up getting eaten sometimes for no goddamn reason, and I don't know if it was just a me problem or my Switch is starting to show its age, but it happened enough to where it made me lose my shit. And this never happened in Breath of the Wild, by the way, so what the hell gives? I will say this though, I actually really like the game's building mechanics. Dare I say it's actually the best thing about this game, aside from its art style. I love the look of both these games, especially at higher resolutions. Though I've mostly just created basic flying devices, hijacked tanks to get the job done, or fused weapons together to create crazy combinations. Like my Discord moderator repellent staff. Take a shower, you stinky boy! It's been 3 goddamn years! And if you're not gonna do it yourself, then by Mother Russia, I will make you scrub! I've seen people create some amazing shit with Zonai tech you can just find all over the place. From pirate ships to cargo planes, and even Pablo with the 24-foot exploding dong. People are very creative when it comes to making enemies go, oh shit! Even the Koroks will be shitting their pants when they end up getting waterboarded or even crucified, Jesus Christ. I kind of understand why people do this, because not only are they back in full force just like last time, but there's also these little Koroks that are too exhausted to move with the bag on their back, and you have to bring them to their friend. I mean, it's fine at the start because they aren't really that far out of the way, but later on, it becomes the complete opposite, making me wonder, what's the point in doing this in the first place? Is it for 2 shit nuggets instead of 1? Or even using them to expand your inventory with Hetsu, just like in Breath of the Wild? No, not really worth it in my opinion. I started ignoring them later on because the reward just wasn't worth it. Just like last time, I still didn't care for the story because Link is still stoic in story cutscenes. You're railroaded into getting certain items this time if you don't bum rush it to Ganondorf as soon as you can. And one other aspect that I am all too familiar with. Goddamn time travel. Seriously? I thought I put a lid on that shit. Okay, let me explain. A few years after Breath of the Wild's second ending, where you recover all of Link's memories, they both notice something screwy going on beneath Hyrule Castle, so they go and investigate. After geeking out for a bit and me realizing the whistle sprint glitch was patched out, that one really hit me hard.
Oh no, they fixed it! Oh no! Oh damn! They fixed that! No!
They then spot the scene of a disembodied hand holding someone down, and it loosens its grip, drops a stone, and Zelda just picks it up. This very dried beef jerky looking individual then wakes up, burns Link's arm, saps away his health and stamina, destroys the Master Sword like it was a random stick on the floor, and even pulls the castle out of the goddamn ground, causing Link and Zelda to fall to the depths below. This would be the end of the game, but Zelda teleports away and...
Easy, miss. I've got you.
You've got me! Who's got you?
God damn it. then grabs the broken Master Sword and makes haste to save Zelda, now with a spiffy new arm courtesy of King Rauru, the first king of Hyrule. And as you progress with the game, if you want to, we help the main regions of Hyrule with their problems and learn more about this imprisoning war, a war so important it got a Dynasty Warriors-styled spin-off game. I heard good things about it, but I haven't really gotten around to it. To put it simply, former Gerudo leader Ganondorf killed Queen Sonia, and using her secret stone, he became the Demon King, and was pretty close to conquering Hyrule. Even the sages couldn't keep him at bay. So Superman did the only thing that he could do in this moment of need, and that's seal Jotaro Kujo away. And thanks to these crop circles in the present day containing tears from the Light Dragon, you optionally learn a little bit more about what happened to Zelda. Too Long didn't care, she's in the distant past, and completely screwed up the canon big time. The amount of caffeine folks had just to unscrew the canon was frankly concerning. But at least these three major events were set in stone, so yeah, okay, I can live with that. And yeah, the broken Master Sword was also flung into the past, and was fixed by Zelda, who came back as a Light Dragon by swallowing her secret stone. And yes, the Master Sword is stuck in her head. That looks painful. I am pulling this sword out of your goddamn head whether you like it or not! It's gonna be painful! It also requires 2 full stamina wheels to get Link's trusty rechargeable blade this time, so if you want the Master Sword right away, focus on stamina. In order to do that, you have to deal with shrines again, but this time there's over 120 on the surface and 32 in the sky, one of the new areas you can explore, for a grand total of 152 shrines. Each of them will test you with your new Ultra Hand abilities, and sometimes they may strip you of your gear, forcing you to fend for yourself. It took me a few tries for some of them, and most of my creations worked against me. Your reward is a Light of Blessing, and just like Spirit Orbs, trade 4 of them at a goddess statue for either a heart container or stamina vessel, and yes, you can reallocate if you need to, just like last time. You've got 3 areas to explore this time. Hyrule is the same as last time, it's only a bit more built up, and the sky and depths are really not as fun to travel through as I thought. Hey, at least the sky is slightly more fun to travel through thanks to the skydiving mechanic. I legit can't see shit in the depths. You are gonna have to travel through all 3 areas regardless, so get your gear ready, and try not to get hit by this red goopy shit. It is clearly not healthy for you. This is called Gloom, and this thing saps away your health into nothing. And a lot of enemies later in the game carry this shit. In order to fix it, you either go into the light from these flowers or go into the surface, or consume certain meals that get rid of it. When it comes to dealing with the upheaval though, things do get a little interesting, I say with a hint of sarcasm. Each region has to deal with some wacky event thanks to Ganondorf's army. The Rito are on the verge of starving to death thanks to the snowstorm. The Zora have to deal with poisonous goop in their clean water. The Gerudo have to deal with a sandstorm and a zombie apocalypse. And the Gorons are addicted to crystal meth, and it's all thanks to a corporate monopoly. I mean, look, I know it's not crystal meth, but you know, it's close enough. After we deal with our problems, we find the source, do a dungeon with the companion, beat the boss with said champion ability, and then get more info on their ancestors, become a sage, and assist Link as a spirit until the time comes to show up in person. There's also a 5th stage that is basically just assembling a giant mech and playing some Punch-Out. I mean, look at it, dude. It's freaking Punch-Out. Just like last time, it can get rather repetitive if you go for all of them. But in this case, it's not so bad, since each dungeon looks really unique. And they play out like a traditional Zelda dungeon. Even if those 4 dungeons basically just tell you to hit the switch with the champion ability to unlock a door. My favorite just so happens to be the Water Temple, thanks to the moon gravity allowing for some pretty unique platforming, and ways of abusing momentum. Too bad Link can't stop till he touches the ground. The Fire and Wind Temples were okay, because I was able to do some pretty cool shit with my abilities, but the Lightning Temple? Send it to the electric chair and kill it. It is not only dark, sort of samey, and very, very beige, but the fight against Queen Gibdo was a pain in the ass. It took me far longer to beat this boss than doing the temple itself. It didn't help that I had so many ragdolls just ragdolling on the screen at this point. It was so hard to keep track of the one that I needed at that very moment. And by the time I needed her, she already ragdolled onto the floor and couldn't do anything till she got up. And on one of my attempts, I ran out of arrows mid-fight and I was so damn close to beating it. So I had to kill myself, leave the temple after a reload, get arrows via shops and amiibo, then go back and do the fight. Many attempts later, and the queen finally goes down for the count. Words cannot do this moment any justice. Finally. Once we have all 5 sages, we head straight to the source of all this, located below Hyrule Castle. After avoiding literally everything all at once, we face off against his army, and if you got all the sages, once all 4 basic enemy types are taken care of, Link manages to make a beeline for Ganondorf instead of fighting these bosses again. Eat a dick, Queen Gibdo! As for the Ganondorf fight, I did look up the fight beforehand, so I didn't waste too much time, and you know what? This was still really damn fun. The Master Sword is also key to bringing Chrom to his knees, so save it for the fight if you have it. If not, rib cages will do just fine. And don't be fooled by his large frame, he is still just as nimble as Link. And later on, he gets a comedically large Dark Souls-ass health bar after going Super Saiyan. This was actually really funny to see in person, by the way. Once we finally beat that form up, he then swallows his stone and becomes a dragon. Holy shit. This... oh my god. It almost looks like Link is about to get eaten alive until Zelda swoops in and helps with popping all the zits on Ganon's back, and then he sticks the sword into his fucking head where he explodes in a very dramatic fashion. Anyway, thanks to Magikarp and Makoto, Zelda becomes her normal self, Link gets his arm back, and they both plummet from high altitudes into the lake below. They both survive, by the way, and they go off into the sunset to see another day. I was so checked out by the end of this, I was just like... Okay, well now that both games are under my belt and had to rewrite this outro, I really don't know what to make of them. But here are some of my hindsights. First off, I don't recommend playing these games back to back like I did. I'm just an idiot. Second, after playing Tears of the Kingdom for the first time, I now have a new appreciation for Breath of the Wild. Though Tears does some things better than Wild and vice versa, exploration suffers the most in Tears of the Kingdom, and that sucks. Normally when I play open world titles, I like to keep an internal list of things that I need to do while leaving room for exploration and seeing what happens. With Breath of the Wild, it felt rather natural. You see something on the way to another place you need to go to? Make a quick detour. Sometimes make multiple detours. Here it felt rather forced, especially with the sky, the depths, and even certain side quests that span across Hyrule. After a while, I just didn't give a shit anymore, and I got to a point where I just whipped out a guide and kept it on standby for most of the game. And I didn't do that with my Breath of the Wild revisit, by the way, so that should tell you something. Not to mention, I had numerous instances where I ended up at the wrong place at the wrong time, and ultimately paid the price for it. So yeah, I got punished for exploring in an open world title. What kind of shit is that? Was it a skill issue? 100%. But I'm gonna blame the game for it because it's funnier. And for those completionists out there, not only is it a commitment to fully 100% both games, but you don't even get much for doing so. It's mostly bragging rights. As for what game is better, dude, I stopped caring about that. But if you've played one game, you can safely skip the other. But one thing is certain about both games, they are not worth full goddamn price anymore. Need I remind you that Tears of the Kingdom came out in May of 2023 and is still over 100 Canadian dollars on the eShop. But if you've got the cash and couldn't give two shits about boycotting the trillion-dollar corporation, just play these on Switch 2. I hear they both run at a locked 60 frames per second for the most part, and those with an NSO subscription get some pretty useful features with the mobile app, like an in-game GPS, voice memories, item sharing, auto-building for Tears of the Kingdom, and gambling with dailies. Yippee, I guess. Emulation is also a legitimate option, but there's no point in telling you how to do it because that ending was so played out, dude. Why didn't you think of that ending again? And he's fucking dead.